I'm here with Simon Nixon, who's a Hastings District Councillor. Kia ora, Simon, and thanks for joining me.
Good morning, Andrew. Nice to see you again.
Yes, you too. Now, Simon, it's been a year since Cyclone Gabrielle hit, and Cyclone Gabrielle devastated the community. But you have sort of fairly clear memories of that day and that night. You were out and about. Can you tell us where you were and what happened?
Yes, I do a little bit of work, television work, as what's called a stringer. And on the Monday before the cyclone came through, I was sent to Wairau to do something. And on the way back, I thought that rain's getting very heavy. And I noticed there were quite a few slips. There were trees down across the road, and the rain was very heavy. I was escorted from about Tutera through the Devil's Elbow. But I didn't have any inkling of just how bad it was going to get. And the next morning, it rained all night. The wind was ferocious. I got up about 3 o'clock and went out. I couldn't believe it. All around Havelock North, there were just trees across the road. Campbell Street, just along from the school, completely blocked off. Um, I travelled around. The power was intermittent. The street lights were coming on or off. It was very hard to see. I found one workman trying to cut trees up, but that was about all. But really, the drama started a little bit later when I was asked to go to the Esk Valley because they were evacuating people by helicopter off the roofs of houses.
What time was
Unfortunately,
that, Simon?
I would guess that would be 6 o'clock-ish. It was not long light. It was dark when I left home, but light by the time I got over there. And so the police wouldn't let me pass. But I'd noticed the Titikura River was flowing very high. It's the highest I've ever seen it. Normally that doesn't, the Narora does, but the Titikura does not get that high. So I thought I'd go back and take a couple of pictures of it. And when I was there, I could see down at, I've forgotten the road now, off Pakarai Road, that the road seemed to be blocked off. So I went down and inquired, and they let me through down Lynx Road to Silky Oaks. The water was coming down the highway from Waihick like a river itself. I would say it would be about 2 meters deep. I saw a ute tumbling end over end all the way down the road and got washed into one of the adjacent low-lying paddocks of the golf course where the winery is, the vineyard. And this just it just kept getting worse. Some police turned up. I suggested to them they needed a jet boat or something. A man jumped into the water to try and rescue some people out on the golf course. I never saw him again, but presumably he did return. And at that stage, I thought, this is just getting too dangerous. I think I will go back to Napier, which I did. And I did ring a few people to try and warn them that perhaps things were getting seriously out of control. By the EIT, the tree was already through the cafeteria, but it wasn't wet there. The stock bank hadn't burst at that point, but they wouldn't let me any further. They said I could walk down the stock bank, and I thought, I'm not doing that. I've already seen what that river's doing on the other side. So it was wise to play safe. I went back towards Napier, Tamatea, and saw a tow truck coming down the road full of wheelchairs and police holding the wheelchairs on. And they were evacuating Rowan House, the Presbyterian support facility. And then I found other areas in Taradale by the fire station. The water was just coming down one of the crossroads. A river has to be between half a metre and a metre deep. I didn't take my car there. I ditched my car, managed to hitchhike a ride in a camper van up to the fire station, and I could see it was getting worse again, so I just decided I would clear out of that area, and I went back towards Napier, only to find I couldn't go anywhere. I wasn't allowed down Miani Road. The police had it blocked off, but they did let me onto the expressway, so long as I only went towards Napier. But having seen what was happening, I was convinced those were all the right decisions.
Yeah. And what did you see on the expressway?
Well, just the expressway. I actually felt quite safe on the expressway because it was above the roofs of the houses. So I didn't think I was going to get washed away. And I was the only car all the way along there as I evacuated. I could just see that things were going to get worse. I went through Cyclone Bowler many years ago, so I had some idea of the dangerous situation that was building up. I tried to get to Puketap at one stage because I was advised there were people on the pickers on the roof of an RSE building there. I couldn't get through. Nobody tried to stop me, but I found a farmer coming along and he said, "Don't go down there." He was on a quad bike. He said, "You might get round the corner, but that's as far as you're going to get." So I interviewed him. He said it's dire out there towards Puketap. So the roads were just all closing down all around me.
And because afterwards the expressway was closed after that because there was quite a bit of flooding across it.
Well, the water obviously came, from Links Road or Waiheke down Links Road and flooded that whole area. And in hindsight, perhaps I should have been trying to ring more people. But remember, the phones also went down because that was around the time that both my phones, I have two different systems, and they both stopped working. I could get a few text messages out, but that soon stopped as well. So, and I just thought this is a very dangerous area to be in. The volume of water was just mind-boggling, and I just thought I don't want to be here too much longer.
At that stage, did you think there was going to be lots of loss of life?
No, I don't think I did. I was a bit concerned when I saw this ute washing down the road, but I truly didn't understand the full extent of the flooding, that the stop bank was breaking in all sorts of places. I could only see that one area, but the rain was unbelievably heavy. Remember when I first went out, it was pitch black at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it took several hours before I could really see what was going on.
And what did you think of the civil defense response? Did you see lots of police and fire and emergency people out and about?
Actually, very few. I didn't see any civil defence that I remember, but there were lots of locals sort of pitching in to say, "Don't go down there" and all that sort of thing. That was the thing that was notable. I mean, I got trapped in Napier for 3 days. I just couldn't get back home, and there was no power, no phones, no food. It was an interesting situation.
Where were
And
you?
one
Where
that
did you stay?
Somebody found me a motel. TV3 found an operator who could provide me with an internet system. I don't know how he did it. I still don't know how it worked, but he was very busy working, so I could only use it intermittently to upload stories that I was shooting. But that did help. Otherwise, we would not have got the message out.
Yeah. And did you ever feel in danger of your life?
I've been through a fair few floods and disasters over the years. I'm reasonably cautious. I tend to always make sure I've got an escape route that I can get to higher ground, because you just don't want to be another victim, and it would certainly ruin my story.
Yeah. Now, you obviously since then have driven on those roads many times, and that do you still sort of look and think, "Wow, it's quite different," and it was quite bad how it got.
Well, it's interesting because a couple of days later, I got sent up to Tutera to the house where the lady died in the slip. And they came and got me on with a 4x4. My vehicle wouldn't have gone up there. The road was scarcely wide enough to get the 4x4 through. Somebody had taken a front end loader that they had on the Tutera side and pushed a road through. And I was thinking to myself, but I went through there at about 4:30, 5 o'clock on the Monday night, and 2 hours or so later, it was completely blocked by mud, logs, rocks, slips. And I really thought that was close. It didn't seem that bad when I was going through, but for the sake of 2 hours, I think I beat that truck that got stranded at the Devil's Elbow by maybe 2 hours. That's how close I was.
Wow. And what do you have to say about the way Hawke's Bay responded to the cyclone?
I think we responded reasonably well, but I do feel that maybe we didn't anticipate just how bad it was going to get, and therefore perhaps not enough resources out there ready to go, not enough police, not enough civil defence. They'd set up, but I didn't see any of that. At one stage, I spoke to a girl who's got a caravan up at up past Puketap, and she turned out she had Starlink, her own Starlink setup. It became the only point in the area that it was actually Dartmouth, the only point in the where people could get communication out to tell people they were safe. My own sister-in-law, who I'd stopped to have a word with in Wairau before I came back on the Monday, it took us, I think, 4 days to establish she'd survived.
Wow, because there was that anxious period where, as you say, you didn't know where people were, and even your family in Hastings wouldn't have known where you were, and that. So it was quite an anxious time.
Well, my wife sent me, I got a text message. Occasionally, the text message would suddenly pop up on the screen. My wife sent me a message saying, "There's no power. Who do I ring at the council?" And I said, "Don't ring the council. There's no power."
Yes, yeah. And what do you have to say to the people a year on who suffered badly from this? And there were some lives that were lost in those families, and what do you have to say to them?
Well, firstly, it was a terrible tragedy. And I think it was really the failure to monitor things in real time and get that message out to the community that things were seriously out of control. And if you're in certain areas, you should leave those areas. Looking back, I should have really somehow tried to say, I don't know whether I could have because the phones were so bad, say to people between the two rivers, Packify Road and the rest, get out, go to
Yeah,
Hastings, go to Napier, but get out of this area because it was clearly turning completely out of control, completely.
yeah. Well, Simon Nixon, thank you for your time. And it's amazing that it's been a year since that all happened. And keep safe, and we'll speak to you again sometime.
It's a warning for the future. And thank you, Andrew.
Thank you so much.